Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Heavy Revi TV with Brian and Shauna Christian hosting. And today we're really excited. We have a special guest, Daniel Oskopinski, who's a good friend of ours, an awesome brother and a pioneer of a specific and unusual flavor of oneness in the quantum realm. And I say that with honor because there's not too many out there that are carrying the creativity that you're operating in that I believe is going to begin to propagate and manifest and reproduce. And so we're just really excited to have you, Daniel. And for those that are viewing us, please like and share so that everybody can get this video and everybody can partake of the sound and the frequency of the divine masculine and feminine that flows from Daniel's life. We want to encourage you. Read the information I put on this post. We're going to be talking about Daniel's album that's coming out and some good news for those that are coming on today. And so I will leave that to Daniel. But Daniel, tell us what's going on. Tell us what's up, man. We love you. Welcome, and just let it flow, bro.
I was thinking the other day, you know what's really cool? Before I even had my first album, I only had 3 songs. That was the first event we did together, remember? And it was like it was actually my first public performing at all of any of the music we did together. And then that was about a week before my first 5-day with Kirby, which was my real first stepping out doing a public performance, which was the fulfillment of a vision that I had while I downloaded the second song. And then that was a catalyst to actually make an album and all of that. But when I knew that God was like giving me songs and calling me to release those songs, but it was still kind of like scattered, just like individual songs. It wasn't like maybe about 2 weeks before I met up with you in North Carolina.
Yes.
And this was about 2 years ago.
Yep.
I was in Honduras in a ghetto, in a shack, going through a lot of stuff. And I was sitting there and I was having this audible conversation with God or Spirit, Father, whatever you want to say. And I heard this voice say, if you could do anything at all that you want, and money and time was not an object, it wasn't part of the equation, it was limitless, what would you do? And I had just wrote my 3rd song. It's called I Love My Life. Literally like days prior.
Yeah, that's
and I didn't have a video for it or anything, but I shot the video in this ghetto in Honduras. And there was this one scene where I was like in this studio, and the studio is literally a plywood box. It's literally a little house that's probably about 10 foot by 10 foot, made out of plywood with 2 Rastas. And while we were recording the scene for that song, dude, the Spirit filled that box so much. And these dudes don't even speak English, but the song is very simple English, repetitive. Like everybody knows my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister. So these dudes, over the course of a short period of time, they was like getting the song and the revelation of the song, and they was singing it with me. And like, it was such a powerful vibe that I was like, oh, I gotta give a sneak preview and just play an unedited raw clip of this video and this song. And within like a day, it was like 2,000 views. And I was like, wow, like Spirit's doing something, like it's resonating with people. So when I got asked that question, what would you be doing? I was like, well, I love making music. And it seems like every time I put a song out, it's resonating. People are responding to it.
Yeah.
So like, if I could do anything, I guess I would make music, travel the world with my family, and spread the message of oneness. And then all of a sudden I just heard, then believe it's already your reality. And it was like time slowed down. There was a fork in the road.
Yes.
You have this choice in the moment to come into agreement with this or to hesitate and doubt and reason it away.
Right.
And it was like all of a sudden I was on one trajectory, clueless. I was having marriage struggles, stuck in a different country, financial, and all of a sudden it was like this other road opened up, and it was like, right now, if you believe, you could just shift and jump.
That's right.
And I was like, I believe, let's go. And I made a post and I was like, guys, I am officially done with ministry. I'm totally
Yeah.
just out of that whole equation.
Yep.
I am I am reawakening the inner child inside of me, and
That's
all
Mm.
right.
the dreams and the things that I always wanted to do that I started feeling like it was too late. Like I'm grown up now, or I'm a dad, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And you know what? I ain't buying that anymore. And all the things I ever wanted to do and never got to do yet, I'm doing them. And I have no evidence to show you of what I'm banking this on, but I am a multilingual international music artist and producer. And I'm
Yes.
speaking it out and I'm stepping out there and I'm saying it now, and you will see it. But I'm just showing you, like, because the whole thing of my journey is, it's not really like I am like, hey, me, check me out. But it's not like because I'm so different than you. It's like, watch
Right.
what I'm about to do because I'm a
Yes.
mirror reflection to you of what you can do if you stop making excuses and just go for it.
That's
Right.
you
right.
know and I said it, and I just stepped in and I said, this, I am that. And literally about 2 weeks later, I was on a journey. I had to go to the States for something. I had
Mhm.
a vision, or a dream, or a vision. I saw you, Alec Martin, Andrew Melrose, me, all of us in a room talking about oneness. So I called Andrew. I wasn't even going to tell nobody I was going to the States. I was like, hey, maybe I can sneak up there and see you while I'm in the States. And he was like, you should come at the end of the month because Brian's going to be up here. I'm hosting. I'm like, what? I just had a vision or dream. And so I said, I got to call Alec and see, maybe he'll come up there. And I called
Oh
Alec
yeah.
and he's like, I'm here with Brian right now. I was like, what? Dude. And actually, on the way there, I made a trip. I stopped in Houston. It was my first time ever meeting Daniel Love. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
within 2 weeks, I met Daniel, I met you, I met Alec, I met back up with Andrew. Then I went down to Kirby's 5 day to
Yeah.
Yes.
perform there. I met Nico for the first time. I reconnected with True Secret after like a 3 year bad, not speaking as old friends. We all got
Sure.
put in a room together to bunk together. So within 2 weeks, it was like all of these pioneers into a wheel. And
Yes.
all of a sudden, when I got the download for Glory Into Me, while I was getting the download, I saw myself like in Sri Lanka at their church, but in the crowd, and I saw them playing the song up front, and I was like just dancing with everybody, but they was playing the song.
Mhm.
But at that time, there was no such thing as WoW cell groups in the States. None of that stuff was even existing.
Right. Hmm.
And then it all happened right before I went to the States. So by the time I came to the States, everybody knew me because of that song. And then when I went to Daniel Love's house, on my way, the day before I go to Houston, I get a call from this chick, and she's like, hey, my husband's from Honduras. We found a video of yours online. We really connect. We really feel like there's a connection. I was like, cool. Where are you from? Houston. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to Houston tomorrow. She lived like a mile down the road from Daniel. I said, well, obviously we were supposed to connect. So come by Daniel's. She said, I'm going to bring one of my best friends, which was Carly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Carly comes into the scene, and then they're like, hey, we're going to Kirby's 5 day. I'm like, so am I. I'll see you there. And then a week later, Carly called and said, hey, they put me in charge of worship and music and entertainment. You want to sing some of your songs? I'm like, yes, I do. You know? And it's crazy, like at light speed,
Hmm.
how fast anything can manifest or shift or transform around us if we'll just
Exactly.
yield our yes to whatever. Literally, like every day, everybody got their own certain verses that are like foundational for where you're at right now. And you just speak, even if it's not a verse, whatever, it's sayings that you're
Right.
founding your reality on right now. And like there's three that I speak out every single day. All things are possible to he who believes. I can do
That's right.
all things through Christ, which is the truth that strengthens me. And
Yep.
whatsoever
Right.
man thinks in his heart, so shall it be.
Yes.
And at light speed, if you'll just watch where you're giving your yes, what you're
Yes.
giving your yes to, like everything just transforms around you and just starts falling into place. You could call it attracting to you, whatever, but it just starts appearing. And so that was our first time us connecting physically. And that was a really powerful experience. Even before I went to the 5-day, just us in Andrew's parents' house with a small group
Yeah.
of people. But some
Yep.
things
I
you just
remember
feel
that.
like it's a seed cracking.
Yes.
Like it's not about the amount of people. It's not about any of that. It's about acknowledging something's happening in the spirit.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so that was a really, really cool couple of days that we got to spend together. And then ever since then, I haven't just been doing music, but I put that out. And then that year I kind of got entangled in all this different stuff, that last year was like so much different detours and so much different stuff. It was all learning. It was all
Sure.
process. But I didn't stay focused on the music. And then just about 3 or 4 months ago, this new wave came to me because I'm establishing something down here on this island. It's called Quantum Kingdom Creatives Academy. It's not just here; it's online too. But we're doing a physical thing, and there's a budget needed for that. And I almost took a loan from this guy who was like wanting to invest in my retreats and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, that looks like something profitable. Could I invest in it?" I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
and I was gonna have to pay him back. I don't know how much, but probably a good interest. And I almost was gonna go meet up with him for lunch, and then the spirit was just like, "Do not take that money.
Yep.
Don't take that money. You have a lot of music that's partially done, and you have a lot of fans. You have a lot of people that love your music. They've been impacted more than you know. You need to
Right.
finish all these songs and release a project. And instead of just putting it out, put some exclusivity to it, like
Yes.
some limited, supply and demand. Like create. Eventually, it'll come out for everybody, but create some type of exclusive opportunity for people to sew into it. And I heard 100 people, $100, which I was going to borrow $10,000 from this dude. And I heard the spirit say, 100 people, $100, debt free, no interest. You don't pay nobody back. You launch the whole Creatives Academy, everything you need just by believing in what I've already put inside of you. And you give them a chance to connect and entangle and be a part of it and stuff. And so I was like, whoa, okay. I mean, part of me, because we're all working our way out of doubt in
Right.
ourselves.
Yes.
We can
That's
say
right.
believe in God all day long, but we're merging, right? Us and God. So it's like, okay, can you believe in yourself to the same capacity that you believe in God?
Yes.
And so a lot of times he'll tell you something to expose all these lingering
Right.
layers of you actually, the contradictions. All things are possible. He who believes. Okay, well, can you believe for 100 people to give you $100 for a music project? Oh, I don't know. Is that possible? So you see these different ways to trigger the contradictions of what you say you believe to come up, so you
Right.
can see what you could not see.
That's right.
And so I was like, all right. So I started working right away at this retreat. Actually, I recorded most of the album, and so we're launching tonight. Tomorrow's the
Yeah.
official day, 3/3/2023. But anybody who comes by this stream now, live or throughout the rest of the night, you can get the jump. You can get the jump on everybody else,
That's
because
right.
I just went to my website and I made it live. So Danieldavidiam.com, as of right now, anybody can go to my website and listen to the whole album for free. Actually, both of my albums are on that page. They can be streamed for free because I want people to have experience and encounter. And I
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
want to withhold it from anybody just for money. Although
That's
I
right.
am working through a lot of these mindsets that we got through religion, like we can't charge for anything. We shouldn't,
Right.
Yeah.
be able to profit from the things that God has given us and stuff. But I'm not holding out on anybody. Anybody can go for free to my website and listen to both albums, have encounters and experiences. But if you want, you can also purchase the two first singles, which is I Can Feel It and Activate. I got new lyric videos up for them. And those funds are we're having our first youth conference Easter weekend down here for all native Nicaraguans. So it's all in Spanish and everything. So we're
Wow.
Wow.
pioneering. We're bringing a couple dozen young adults from throughout Nicaragua to this retreat right here. And we're going to do an immersive weekend retreat on the creativity of God. and how to channel that creativity into entrepreneurship or into artistic expression. But the whole thing is bringing people into the throne and into oneness with God first, so that they act from that place of limitlessness. And so anybody who buys either of those singles, any of those funds will go towards, we're paying for everything for them. We're raising a $3,000 budget. So their lodging, their food, their transportation, everything. And for me, currently right now, God is breaking me out of a lot of hidden, limiting expectations on the way that I might be used. Yeah. So I've been a rebel and a renegade and just want to fly under the radar and even frame up like, okay, I'm only relevant to the renegades and the rebels. And you don't know that you close a lot of doors and you shut yourself off from a lot of things by identifying with that. It's like, okay, well, maybe there was a season for that.
Right.
And maybe there was a reason for that, but I need to open up to be all things, because I wasn't open to the churches. I wasn't believing ministry would resonate or accept me. But if I believe that, that's what it will be.
Yes.
But if I can release that and say, you know what, dude, something major is happening and everything's getting shaken up, and there are church structures that are opening up, there are non-believers opening up. And so I've had Jackie Myers, like last year, she prophesied a couple times over me when I jump on her lives or whatever. And she just said, hey, the whole country of Nicaragua is opening up to you. People of influence and affluence. And at that time, I'm just living on this little island in a lake amongst poor indigenous people. So it was hard for me to imagine or expand beyond hanging out with the poor. Until I actually met the owner of this retreat. And then she invited us to her place in Managua. And then she's connected. And I started thinking like, oh, maybe this is happening. Like maybe things could open up. And so that's the first thing that we're doing in Easter weekend. And then so also people could pre-order that album Renaissance. We'll talk about it in 1 second. Right now they can pre-order it. And we have, of that original goal of 100 people, we have about 40 people that have partnered up with it. And those people, if you pre-order, you can get the album Easter. But those other 60 people that we're looking for, you can get right now. You know, both of my albums, you get to bless 5 people with both of them. There's a lot of different perks and bonuses and courses and stuff. I'm just giving a bunch of stuff just to be a blessing. But it's to walk out and fulfill the way that God gave me to do it.
That's right.
And so we're going to do that one day at a time this month until we hit that mark. And I know a lot of people will be blessed. And I'm really excited because this album is very different than the first one. It's a lot of rambling.
Yeah, tell us about this new album, because you sent me the song.
Oh my God.
That one song that you dedicated to me. And that blew me away. It was like, that is my life, man. That song was just like, I've lived that song. And I know you've lived that song.
Right.
And that's part of our connection too, and relatability. And it's amazing. I mean, the first album was amazing. But this one, I think, you've taken it to another level. Everything you walked through in what were detours actually is what brought forth the sound. So it's almost like there were no detours. It was like everything has brought you to this moment. And so tell us a little bit about what this album represents to you and to mankind, and what's coming forth out of it.
Okay, so meeting you guys, I'm trying to think who in particular, like Alec, you guys. In all honesty, like there wasn't too many people that I met, Kay Fairchild, that I found and met, because I'm the type of person like, hey, if I find you online, like I'm looking. I've been looking for 13 years. I've been looking for people speaking a word that resonates, give me a key that I don't have. And if I find, I'm going to meet you. Like we're going to meet up physically. I will sacrifice or pay, we're going to meet up physically. And that's something that I think a lot of people, they don't there's great value in making that bond and physically connecting, because it is reuniting with eternity, right? Like
Yes.
it's that
Yes.
The
eternal
face
truth
to
that's
face.
uniting us together, that remembrance. And I got a lot of friends, truth seeker, a lot of provocative and even like deep revelators and stuff. But when it comes to like the revelation of oneness, I didn't know a lot of people that were straight out speaking it, especially eternal origin. You were probably one of the first ones that I heard that was speaking what I knew was the truth.
Right.
And for a lot of years, like the things that I knew to be true, I limited or I kept to myself because I was still tiptoeing in the church, or I was
Oh, yeah.
trying to guard relationships, or I didn't was tired of persecution, just different things,
Right.
And but that first album, Rain, I was stepping into oneness a few years back, to the point where what I found what I found is that the way that 99% of the church reads the Bible is they jump around to this book, to this book, to this chapter, to this chapter, and they pick a verse or a couple of verses to prove a point and preach a principle and give a good lesson on a good tip for life.
Sure.
Instead of seeing the book as a whole from start to finish and understanding the journey that it's showing you from start to finish, or from
That's right.
entrance, like from
Yes.
descending to ascending, full circle. And so, like, over the years, I was shown and taught a lot of these stuff, but it came to this thing, it was so crystal clear that I was seeing, like, hey, at the end of the Bible, like Jesus in the book of Revelation, he's sitting in this throne, and he says, to he who overcomes, I'll let sit in this throne, just as when I overcame, I sat down in my Father's throne.
Yep.
And I was like, I had heard through the years, we're seated in heavenly realms in Christ Jesus, we're seated at the right hand of the Father. But I was at this time really like taking the word in through my imagination, to where I'm visualizing it and feeling it instead of like intellectually repeating it.
Right.
And so I was
Yep.
imagining, what is that like? Because what happens a lot of times, for you to actually imagine it and see it, you start getting triggered with fears of blasphemy and heresy and all this stuff. For you to actually think maybe you could not just believe in a throne or worship Jesus on the throne or cast your crown down, or, but get in his throne and sit down in it with him and merge and become one with him as he is in heaven, you are. And I was like,
That's
I was
right.
being pulled in, but at the same time, all this resistance, like, is this okay? Are people gonna, what are
Yeah.
people gonna say? But
You can't say
first
you're
time I,
God.
yeah, yeah. But the first time you actually sit in that place and in that position and you look out from there, everything shifts.
That's right.
Everything changes, because you're not looking at Jesus if you're sitting in Jesus.
That's right.
You see, you're not looking at another if you're in and one with. You're looking at whatever he's looking at.
That's right.
Right.
Jesus is not worshiping Jesus. Jesus
Yep.
is not, Christ is in the throne looking into creation
Yes.
from truth, seeing it as it is. And I
That's
was
right.
like, whoa. And then when I started listening to music, like worship music, we'd be dancing around our house, we're singing and stuff. And all the music that I loved, it would eventually get to a certain line or to a certain phrase, and it would say something that would hit me. I'm like, wait, I don't believe that anymore. Like, hold up, wait. And becoming, because what you speak, you create.
Yes.
And anytime I would hear separation or duality, I'll be like, what? I'm not going to say that. I can't, I don't feel that, believe that anymore. And it was getting frustrating because I was like, man, I don't resonate with too much music anymore.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
resonate fully with too much music anymore. And then I heard him say, I want you to, he didn't even really say. First, I got the first download of a song out of nowhere, the song Victor. And I was like, I wasn't even looking for music or anything. I hadn't even made music in years. And I was like, whoa. But what he told me was, I need you to let me sing through you. You sing as me to the rest of the bride. Because the rest of the body is singing to me or about me. But
Right.
they're wrong in their perception because they think they're separated from me. So
That's
I
right.
need you to yield to me and let me sing through you as me, first person, to the rest of the body, calling them up into this relationship to sit down in the throne and become first person with Christ so we can speak as
Yes.
Christ, you know? So I
That's right.
didn't straight up tell, I didn't come out and say this is what I'm doing,
Sure.
but I started writing all these songs from that throne. And what he told me was, you're going to do this as a seed to reveal or show other people, because there's way better singers than me. There's way better talented musicians than me. You're just going to, as an example, show them, hey, place yourself in this other position and just look from another perspective. Write something from there.
Yes.
There's a wave that needs to come forth, which is
Mm-hmm.
why this album I just put out now is called Renaissance. There's a renaissance. I knew that when Rain came out. There's a renaissance coming of expression of the truth from this perspective of being seated in the throne and not
Yeah.
approaching the throne. And there's nothing wrong with that. All of those are true.
Yeah.
All
Right.
of those are true.
It's the
But
response of
every
eternity, not just the cry
but
for it.
every other every he's pretty much showed me straight up, like every other perspective, from atheists to believing in an external God, to being the beloved and being in a romance and dancing, to being a little kid and having a papa, all of those are true experiences and perspectives. But
Mm-hmm.
all of the positions outside of the throne are lumped into one category.
Mm-hmm.
And then the throne is it's the leap. It's the leap. It's the quantum leap, the shift of looking at or relating to or talking about or talking
Yes.
to talking as, you
Yes.
know. And so that first album, Rain, is a bunch of songs that are kind of like, without telling anybody, presenting an alternative to doctrines, like
Yes.
singing different things that kind of contradict things we've been told, because those were the things that I had to be walked through that healed my paradigm and parts of my heart and my relationships and stuff. And it's been great because I never really did like a lot of marketing or promotion or anything, but it did go out throughout the world. Kirby and Fiona and
Right.
Wow was a big part of that. But I've gotten like so many testimonies and meet random strangers at events and stuff, and just thanking me for those songs and
Beautiful.
stuff.
Right. Because honestly, a lot of people, when I know that when we've introduced people to some of your songs, it was kind of like the cry of their heart. They're like, "Oh my God, he's saying what I'm encountering, or the
Yes.
things that I've desired."
Or broke forth into an encounter.
Yes.
Yes.
And so it really, you were carrying the new sound of worship in a sense, but it's a new sound.
It's the sound
That's
of union.
the sound of, and the frequency that people are craving and crying out for. Like you said, like they're hearing songs that they no longer relate to. It's no longer relevant because something new is breaking forth. And so I
Yeah.
know for Rain, that's what it did for a lot of people,
Yes.
was what they're currently walking in, or an invitation to walk into. And so I'm really excited about your new album, because I know it's like another level or another understanding about to just break open.
Yes.
More and more people.
So the
Yes.
interesting thing is, like what you just said, like even when he was showing me, like even the first song, I saw it as I was getting the download, Victor. Like I saw it getting picked up in a movie or a show or something where there was like publishing royalties. Like I saw money coming from it. I saw a lot of stuff. It was all like that. And so I know, like, it's just in the unfolding of time, a lot of things that's happening. But as much as he told me and showed me and all that stuff, there's still that simultaneous layer of the contradiction of
Right.
still identifying with the outcast, the rebels. And so
Yeah.
Right.
when I would be at like WOW events, and like some of their leadership and stuff would come up to me and say the same thing you just said, like, thank you for releasing the sound of now. Like we've been waiting, like you did
Yep.
it. Like there's another guy, Ron Marquette, Ron Marquette was like a real forerunner in a lot of just mystical stuff. He was the first person to bring Kirby and Fiona over to the States for the first several years, like all the 5 days in Florida. And at the WoW Union event, like last year, I thought, I don't know why he would, but I felt like he was blowing smoke up my ass because he's like, dude, you're the one. I'm like, I'm the one what? He's like, dude, your music is the sound of right now. And I was like there's a part of me that's like wants to like, yeah, let's go. And then another one is like it doubts. It wants to reject, it wants to reason it away. And it's interesting how those contradictions are going on and why we need each other so much, because in truth, our spirit doesn't need validation or confirmation from nobody.
Right.
Correct.
But our soul does. Our soul does,
right.
you know? So like we need each other because it helps. It helps to propel it forward. It helps to confirm it and solidify it and for you to bear witness what God's showing you your destiny is.
An exchange of remembrance.
Yes.
Yeah. So Renaissance, and that's why that first song, Brian, that you were talking about that I dedicated to you, it's called So Good to Me. And I forget even what month it was that I first just started messing with it. And I was probably just listening to a couple lives of yours, and it takes a lot. It takes a deep person to challenge me to entertain, right? And I always love, like, at the beginning of meetings when you come out straight out the gate, like, because we was blah 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 blah, just wide open, and I was just entertaining certain stuff because it all starts out by entertaining something that you haven't thought before, and entertaining something brand new will simultaneously trigger the reasoning, like all the things simultaneously. Like there's a part of you that's like, whoa. And then there's part of you like, whoa. And then there's part of you, it's like, and I was really just, there's a certain point where you go from entertaining it to deciding to lay hold of it.
That's right.
There's a certain marker in time where you're like, you know what? I'm going with it.
Yes.
It's bearing witness with me. Mm-hmm. The truth is, none of us know, and none of us have the ability to prove. We have experiences, we have encounters, we have feelings, but at the end of the day, we're all going by a feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you could say, no, we can't go by feeling. We got to go by the word of God. Well, your interpretation of the word of God changes every 6 months or year. You're really going deeper.
Truth is a subjective experience.
Yes.
And that's the only absolute, that all of us are experiencing the absolute subjectively. And that sets you free from trying to force everybody else to somehow measure up or compare or say the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like such a paradox because we've been trained through religion. We need our language to be the right language. Everybody got to think, imagine the same thing. But once you realize that language, nobody even has the same definitions to the same words.
No.
So it's literally not even possible. So once you realize that and you allow the ultimate truth to be that we're all experiencing the absolute, the one, subjectively.
Exactly.
Then you can like honor everybody's journey and experience. And it's hard because paradox, you could say that, and in the next moment you want to correct, or you hear something, you're like, hold up, that's not. And but it's just interesting. Mm-hmm. But that song, you and Kirby have probably been two of the most pivotal in helping me to see the dance of duality or individuality. And Kirby last year, he did this series. It was called Up, Up, Down, Down. And it really rocked my world. And it was about kind of like Jacob's ladder, about, it's not just about ascending. Like everybody wants to ascension, right? And everybody wants to get up out of here.
Right.
But it's not really realizing that God wanted to come here as you. Yes. Like we're here because God chose to descend into matter and materialize and experience this contrast, and to stop shaming your life and stop feeling like there's bad or negative about being in the flesh or about being in the earth, about like, and there comes a point where you fully lay hold of that. That's another truth that sets you free to actually honor you being here and be excited about being here and embody it, embrace it, and like, yeah, like what's the fullest of the human experience? Like, what's the
That's right.
fullest of what I can experience in this body and stuff? And so it was you and Kirby that I was, entertaining ideas and being set free to just agree. And then I like to, when I'm getting hit with a new revelation or I'm seeing something, I'm like, how can I reverse engineer a pathway to take people into seeing what I'm seeing right now? Let me put it in
Yes.
something, and so I was like, I started putting that song together, and I only had one verse back then. And I was like, I'm gonna dedicate this one to Brian, and so this album, Renaissance, when I was making Rain, I was so focused on oneness that I was actually like kind of demonizing duality and individuality as an illusion, right? As like we get tricked in our mind, and there is a truth to that, because when you don't know, that's the whole thing about eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil before you eat from the tree of life.
Yeah.
Everything you think is separation and duality. So everything actually, separates you from the truth. But once you eat from the tree of life and all is one spirit, all is one mind, there's nothing wrong with seeing the difference in things, there's nothing wrong with framing up like, identifying the difference between things. And so when I had that encounter of the up, and then down, and embracing my individuality, and Kirby, he was preaching a lot of like just powerful stuff about like, hey, we honor Jesus as the Christ and all of that, but it's about the glory in you and the glory in me, and like each of our unique expression of Christ. Like, not try to be who you think Jesus was, be you, which is different than Jesus, which makes it so glorious, because he was freeing us to be ourself, our unique and this individual expression. And me, one of the things I bring to the table, like a personal revelation that I have, is about the waters, being the divine feminine and the quantum field and all this stuff. And I see, in Proverbs, wisdom says, I, wisdom, was there with the Lord from the beginning. I was the first of his acts and the first thing he brought forth. And through me, he created all things. So like right there, you see one becoming two.
Yep.
Even though there's no real separation, but you see one becoming two, so that there could be reflection and relationship. And between the mirroring of that two, everything else was birthed. And so when you look at the word individuality, it's literally divided into two, or divided into duality. Divi, like divided, duality. Individuality is the one being divided into two. Just like when I sent a sperm into my wife, I divided myself and took a part of myself. Me became he.
That's right.
And so Renaissance is actually, I could not understand duality until I got in that throne and I looked from the perspective of Christ. So now if I'm seated in the Lord, one with the Lord, and she says, I was there with the Lord, in the Lord, and he brought me forth and created everything through me, she is the field. So he's invisible spirit. So he brought this field, this intelligent conscious field forth, so that he could say, let there be, right? Not just let there be light and let there be earth, let there be Brian, let there be Shauna, let there be Daniel, let there be, let there be, let there be, let there be, let there be. And we all came forth as a word into the field, into the mind. And she gives us a form. She gives us an image, a body. There's intelligence in this body right now.
That's right.
There's intelligence in this body causing 12 systems to work together harmoniously, 100 trillion cells, 100 trillion bacteria, to all work as a team, making one visible image for the invisible spirit that I am.
Right.
That's right.
But she has never been honored because of the religious system. And at the end of the day, when we get into oneness, it's not really about he or she. but these are terms that we use to understand the nature of reality, right? But there's a reason. I mean,
Right.
it's all through the Bible. The whole
Right.
Bible uses this terminology. It starts as one, the beginning, and then immediately it splits into two. Let us make them in our image and likeness, male and female. So male and female is there through the whole Bible. And then at the very end, there's a marriage supper of the Lamb where the two merge and become one again on the throne.
That's right.
Right.
So if we don't at least entertain the language that the Bible uses, how are we going to actually understand what the heck the Bible's talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so
No, that's
Renaissance, it's not a lot directly, but there's a few songs directly. One is Broke the Seals with Carly, which is a crazy love song between Jesus, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene. Not necessarily like a romantic song, but I believe that she was definitely married to him in her heart as Lord, because he set her free and he broke the seals off her
Yes.
soul. And it, you know, the language it uses, he cast 7 evil spirits off. But when you read at the end, it says the Lamb broke the 7 seals off the scroll, you know. And so it's really interesting how that song just came out of nowhere, like spontaneous. But that's a
Got
song
hit.
between me and
Yeah.
Carly singing about a below physical relationship of Jesus and Mary. And there's 6 Marys and a Martha in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Okay? And we have to understand, hey, there is mystical levels of stuff going on that the church has never told us.
Yep.
And like none of these things, you think a dude's walking around and he literally has 6 Marys and a Martha all around him. And it's just like chance, like there's keys in that. And I was taught it because I was learning Spanish, speaking Spanish, living in Honduras, living on the Caribbean coast. And the way that you say sea, S-E-A, is M-A-R. And when I started getting this revelation about the waters called seas, and when you look, it's with a capital S, like a proper name. And in Spanish, when you go look at the waters, it literally says mar. And so I was started to be shown this connection between the divine feminine or the waters or the field or Lady Wisdom and the Marys, plural, in the New Testament, because all the females represent the female. Or the feminine obviously is on display through the females, but our church never told us nothing about feminine or female other than, you know, sit and be quiet, take care of the kids. So there's a reason why something is happening right now. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. There's a man with a water pitcher pouring out the waters.
Yes.
That's right.
And for me, what I see, and I really relate to that because it's kind of been a cross to bear. I looked through the world for somebody within the body of Christ, like speaking this message that, hey, when you open the Bible, the first thing that's there is these waters. It wasn't created on any day of the week. It was before the first word, let there be light. Before the first move or anything, the waters was already there. And I'm venturing out to say something that probably will get rejected a lot, but those waters is the divine feminine. It's conscious intelligence, and it's a field.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's important now is because in order for us to rise up as priests and kings unto our God and be able to set all nations free, bless all nations, and all nations to become governed by kings that know and worship God, we have to be wiser than the Magi of Babylon. They know about the feminine. They know about the waters. They know about the stars and the planets. They know about the way the quantum field works. They know, and we don't. And so the man pouring out the waters, it's the knowledge and the understanding as priest of how this invisible realm is working, because we have been in this dependency, needy, do it for me, God. That's being born of the woman. Okay. The soul feels like it doesn't have. It needs, whether somebody help me, somebody teach me, somebody give me. I need somebody to do it for me. But Jesus said, of all men ever born of woman, none was greater than John the Baptist. But I tell you the truth, the least in this kingdom is greater than he. And Jesus is bringing us to a flip because he brings us to the throne. And when he brings us to the throne, we realize we're not lacking anything. We're not missing anything. There's not one single thing to be added unto us other than a deepening, expanding knowledge and awareness of what we already are and what we already have the power and authority to do. That's priesthood. It's understanding. And so there's certain verses in the Bible. It's powerful. Isaiah 60, everybody arise, for your light has come. And when the glory of the Lord comes upon you, right? There's a verse in there and it says, and the seas will give up its riches. The seas will give up its riches and lay them at your feet. You see? But it doesn't make sense unless you understand that the sea is the quantum field. And when you change your identity and your thought about who you are, what you're here to do, and that you're a priest seated in Christ Jesus, and that you're a creator God, Elohim, son of El Elyon, God Most High. And as he is, you are. And what does he do? He says, let there be, and it comes to be. He moves the waters with a word and says, let there be. And everything he says, come to be, come to be. So we're about to take a quantum leap as priests and kings into the quantum field, understanding the way it works is the quantum field is a world that mirrors the word in your heart. Whatever you believe about yourself, whatever you believe about God, whatever you believe about creation, it will be that. That's why it says all of creation is groaning in eager anticipation for liberation. We've interpreted that so many different ways. You know what that means? Creation is bound up by us, by what we believe about it. If you believe it's inanimate, it can only be inanimate. If you believe it's a wicked, fallen, sinful world, Satan's kingdom, and it's got to be destroyed, that's all it can be. And it's literally bound in futility. But what it really is, it's a field of limitless potential and a field of dreams. And if you would just honor it and believe that, it's literally the womb of creation. It's literally limitless resources. It's limitless opportunities. It's whatever you have the faith to believe. But it cannot impose itself on you. And it cannot intrude past your belief, because what it's really doing is reflecting your heart to you. It's reflecting your heart to you. And as your heart changes, it gets set free to be the more that you believe in for. And so the ultimate thing that we can actually wake up to believing that this field is, we've been approaching the throne as the bride of Christ, right? Like, we honor Christ. He's seated on a throne. We love you, Lord. Help us. Come give us a touch or do something for me on my behalf. But what happens when that flips? What happens when you get your throne and become one with the Lord, who is husband, and you look at everything from a reversed position, which means now when you look into the field, when you look into creation, you look into the world or the waters, that's your bride. And you impregnate the womb of the bride, mother, whatever, with every thought and intention in your heart. Because you've been doing it from the start. We've been destroying ourselves. We've been binding ourselves. We've been doing all this stuff. You didn't know that you were the sower in the field, sowing seed, eating the fruit of your lips.
Right.
You know? So there's this flip. Jesus is high priest forevermore and a king of kings. And so if we actually have the audacity to get in that throne and sit, we are what he is. We are one with priest, one with king. And we're sitting on the throne looking into the field, not from belief, from knowledge. Universal law, mechanics, principles, dynamics of spirit. What happens? My word goes forth and it does not come back void. That's not just about some God in the sky. My word goes forth and it will not come back void. What I sow, I will reap. What comes through me, bring something to me. And you begin to start taking accountability for your every single thought, intention of your heart. And you begin to start allowing him to show you all of your doubts, blockages, because if there's literally a field of limitless potential, that means your funds, your finances, your relationships, everything is limitless. And the only thing keeping it where it is, it's nobody else. It's nobody else. It's what you believe, even if you don't know you believe it. And you helped me with some shift sessions and teaching me how to shift myself and all that. A lot of times we think we're good. We don't even know we got all these layers of doubt, contradictions, and all this stuff.
The subconscious.
Let me share something that really came to my mind as you've been talking. You know, back to the divine masculine and feminine in the midst of duality. because you couldn't have the divine masculine or feminine conscious of itself without duality, because duality is the ability to look at yourself. And so if you're unconscious, there's nothing that can be reflected, but you can't be conscious unless you've gone within, you've seen a mirror reflection. And that really is the catalyst of duality, that is our schoolmaster while we're veiled, but is our divine exchange and mirror reflection that activates us once we're renewed. And so the whole dualistic side, when you see the man with the pitcher of water, the year of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, back in those days, it wasn't men that carried water, it was women.
Right.
And the fact that the man was carrying the water was also showing the balancing and equalization of the masculine and the feminine. And it was the masculine that was pouring forth the feminine. Okay. And what's that is also showing is years and years and years of abuse of the feminine in the church by men. And, what is it? 30, I'm going on 37 years of ministry. I don't even like the term ministry. I'm changing that. But the point is 37 years I've been doing what I do and graduating from season to season. But the whole heart of my calling has been, because for a long time, I didn't believe, back in the early days, I didn't believe women could preach because I was programmed, right? And I'm surrounded with women all the time. I can't find no men. I'm like, well, I'm doing all this by myself. I'm burning out. And eventually these women just decided to help me without my permission. And I realized, wow, this is great. God can move through, you know what I'm saying? And so from that day forward, I would say that's probably about 5 years in. The father said to me, he said, I've called you to restore women. And I said, yeah, that looks kind of weird. You should have a woman restore woman. And he says, it wasn't a woman that hurt him. Exactly. I need men to restore the women. And so in seeing that in the natural realm, I'm now picking up and seeing the parallel of that in the quantum dimension, in the waters, in the masculine pouring out, the giver pouring out the receiver, and the receiver receiving the giver. And so it's just this beautiful dance, because I experienced a very similar thing that you're talking to. This is recently. I don't know if you guys on here that are watching this, if you've noticed over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the shift that's happened, major shift. There's been a major shift, whole new language, old language going out the door again, a whole new way of expression, and a whole new height of viewing the divine. And so a lot of the puzzles of the pieces are now coming together, and we are being awakened to raise the frequency and the vibration of Mother Earth and to release the divine feminine, which is the visible manifestation of union in by the spirit. There's so much more. Even though we liken it unto male, female, feminine, masculine, there really isn't the male and female. There's a deeper realm,
spirit and mind. It's spirit and mind.
Spirit and mind.
But there are, this receptive and birthing nature.
Yes. Right. It's moving in all levels of creation.
And that preceded human body. Human body, all the bodies were actually created to reveal that. Remember what Paul says? He says, every man's without excuse because it's all clearly on display, all the attributes of the invisible God, which is spirit and mind. And you can know it by looking at the created thing. So it's all about spirit and mind. And there's all these different ways of displaying it, but it's to wake you up to spirit and mind. And it shows you how lost and deceived we've been in religion, because literally, if you would just we're in cities and we're in civilization and we're in society. We're so disconnected. I'm out here, I'm in the jungle, I'm on my land. When you actually get in nature, there's nowhere that you can look that male and female is not present. It's in every plant.
That's right.
There's female trees and there's male trees, and they literally pollinate. Every plant pollinates just like a man impregnates a woman. So every animal, every plant, literally the most fundamental dynamic in all of creation nature is that there is male and female natures in and through everything. And so it shows you how alienated in our mind we are from actually understanding reality to
Yep.
not honor that as a core principle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then especially with religion, like to grow up as a child. I grew up as a child believing in Jesus. I heard all this stuff my whole life, but it, we don't see how damaging we are to psyches to talk about a father and son or all male reality and all this stuff and not include a counterpart balance when it actually that's what the truth is. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
forced to like accept or not doubt God or not doubt the pastor or not doubt what they're saying and to come into agreement with
Yes.
something that's not logical or correct, as opposed to be able to understand yourself and reality, you know?
That's right. Wow. Amazing. This is amazing. You are amazing, brother. And it's funny. There was a time where, to be amazing, you had to reject it and give the glory to God because, otherwise it's prideful to receive affirmation. I grew up in the church learning that, right? And that's really false humility. We need to be able to receive each other's glory, and to receive that honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is actually true identity and true humility. Denying who we truly are is false humility. And so, you were saying earlier about, how far do you go with this? And, we were talking about that. It was way back in the beginning here. But, one of the things I feel that comes through you, Daniel, and through your sound is a realm of affirmation that causes people to rise up and take risks with embracing themselves where they've never embraced. It's like that proclamation, you've been the one you've been looking for. And
Mm,
and all the gods we create externally from us that eventually no longer measure up until we finally come face to face with ourselves and we begin to embrace. And I just feel like you carry that atmosphere. You carry an atmosphere of a realm for people to step into a confidence, to take risks, to step out, to embrace, to stretch them into a place of challenging themselves to be all that they can be. And I know that's what you are in my life. You've challenged me in my life, brother, and
mm,
really helped me when I was questioning some of my own uh, destiny and wondering if I'm really called to do this or that. And then I'd see you come on, or you'd reach out, and it'd be like everything you'd be saying would be confirming that I was being everything I was to be and to keep going. And so
mm.
you're that for a lot of people. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
And your website again is, say it again.
So DanielDavidIam.com, real simple. Okay. And if you go to
DanielDavidIam.com.
yep, and if you go to DanielDavidIam.com right now, right at the top, the album Renaissance, you can listen to the whole thing. And down below at the bottom, you can listen to my whole album Rain. So you can listen to all of my music for free on the site. You can purchase either of the first two singles for a couple dollars, and any of those singles sold goes to sponsoring this youth conference that we're doing in a few weeks. But in truth, and you could pre-order the album. The album comes out Easter. You could pre-order it. But in truth, what I'm looking for right now is 60 people from
Yes.
anywhere in the world to say, hey, I believe in what you're doing. Because it's not
Yeah.
easy. Like bringing a lot of these things forth, you already know and understand and accept that from a majority, you'll never be, at least right now, when you're pioneering these things, you'll never be embraced by the majority. We're not
Yeah.
doing it
Right.
for the majority. We're trailblazing a way that eventually over time, like my music, I had a life coach, Joseph Wilson, when I was creating the first album. He was like, when the album, I sent it to him when it got done, he's like, bro, you're ahead of your time. And I was like, yeah, I think the music's going to be I think the album's going to be more relevant in like a year than it is now. He was like 5 or 10 years, bro. And the truth is because the awakening has started, but it's not going to end.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it's a stream, and people are waking up and they're coming out from wherever they were at. And hey, oneness ain't going nowhere. It's going to get more and more
Right.
relevant, more and more relevant. So it's almost like I'm doing this knowing I might not have instant satisfaction other than knowing I'm walking out my destiny. and
Yeah.
God's opening doors for us too. But I believe long term we're going to see like massive fruit, you know.
It's all
But
about
what
legacy.
I'm saying is we have a goal. We had a goal. It's called the Renaissance 100, and on the site Danieldavidiam.com, if you want to partner and sow into this project, the album was given to me to raise funds for a budget to actually launch a creatives academy that shares a lot of the stuff we're talking about, which is really deep, but in simplified ways. And we're cultivating, how do I teach this to a kid? How do I, how do I teach this to somebody who don't know nothing? Like me and you could sit here and go back and forth deep. That's why it's beautiful when we get together. But how do we simplify this, that we can bring a new mindset in? And so it's beyond the music. The music is a catalyst to help launch. And I think we got 400 people in the group already just in the last couple of months organically. So it's pulling people from all over the world together, from different streams.
Relatability.
Your people, Kirby's people, like all these different groups. And we don't know yet what it exactly is, right? But something is forming. And besides revelation, it's to send it forth into the artistic expression, other people to make music and paintings and businesses that are birthed from this perspective. And I need 60 people, me and my wife, my family, my wife and my kids, because we have a goal. It's 100 people. We're at 40 people. We're looking for 60 people to say, hey, dude, I'm in. I believe in what you're doing. I'll sow into the Renaissance 100. You could check it out on the website. There's a few different options, tiers, but it's minimum $100. But if you sow $100, you get both albums right now, and you get them for 5 other people. You get to bless 5 other people. You get some courses. You get a bunch. You definitely get your $100 worth. But it's just a matter of, we have to step into being okay with trading and trading into each other.
Yes.
Energy, like, dude, I put a lot of energy and time into making this music, and I just made it available for free. It's
your life.
For free.
You had to journey that out. It wasn't.
Yeah.
See, people need to understand this. I mean, the gospel is free, yes, but it cost me everything to manifest it. And I found, and I'm all for it. Most of my stuff, all but the training course, is pretty much free, and my book, because it's got to be made on Amazon, and that costs. But other than that, it's like I've always offered my stuff for free, and I do that. But I also know that when people invest in you, something shifts in them in that exchange. And that's where I think the masculine and the feminine become manifested.
Right.
Even at this level, even at a marking level, the masculine and the feminine are interacting because the masculine gives, the feminine receives. And so there's a divine, and then the feminine gives birth to that which it receives and becomes a manifestor of receptivity. And so it is important, everyone on here, I encourage you, if you're watching my channel, we believe in Daniel.
Yes.
We believe in what he carries. We believe in his team. And we definitely believe in his kids there, where he lives, and everything that he's doing. So I'm believing for 120 to give $100. I'm asking for the overflow.
Yes.
I'm declaring an overflow, more than enough, that blessing will overtake you and will blow you into a whole new mindset, even by that. And because, what is it? Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I was going to say rolling over. And so I believe that's coming, and I want to encourage people. This is a man that gives it away. He gives away everything he laid his life down for. Okay. Therefore, can we not invest? Okay. And
I know you got to go. I know you got to go. I just want to drop one last thing on it, right? Because we can get caught up into thinking like, oh, like I'm in need and you're going to come through for me and you're going to trade in or so into me.
Yeah.
Also, if it's not about, sowing into me, what is the content that you're trading for? What do you actually believe the value of that is? And how important are yourself and your growth? Because I'm not asking you to just give me some free thing. I'm offering you something that is unique in this world that ain't nobody else got. And that's the truth. It doesn't mean nobody else got this revelation. Nobody else has this expression of that revelation. Right. It's like nobody else has the book that Brian has, the eternal gospel. Like nobody else has that expression. So if my music or my albums that I'm offering, if you look at it from the lens of man, it sounds powerful. And you
Mhm.
actually honor it. Like, I want to know what that's going to do to me. You're trading into yourself. You're trading into your
Yeah.
own growth and expansion. And I'm humbled and honored to be here to serve you, to offer what I walked out. I like Brian taught me that one. Like,
Yes.
I walked this out on behalf of the many. And here I am. I'm
Yeah.
serving you up. This is my life.
Yes.
And I know that if you'll honor it, I know what it did to me and what it did for me. And that's why I'm bringing it forth for you. So, if
That's
you'll
right.
engage it as I'm trading into myself, because we are one anyway.
You
But I'm
are.
trading
Right.
into, I want a quantum leap. I don't know everything he's saying. I don't fully get it, but I want a piece of that. I want to experience or see what he's talking about, feel about, then take me up on the offer.
It's
And so
true.
even the
Very
way
true.
that we look at giving and trading and everything, like, we've been taught to not love ourselves and to not invest in ourselves. It's like,
Yeah.
no, dude, invest in yourself and love yourself to expand, because a few little
Yes.
keys that change the way we view money, finance,
Mm.
trading, being in this world. One key could shift. Now you got a brand new idea. You're doing a new thing. You got a
Yeah.
passive income stream. You never know. Like, and so, I just wanted to share that, because even me, how I trade into myself, how I buy people's courses or I take people up on their offers is because, hey, I want to grow. It's
Yeah.
not just because, hey, I'm going to bless them or I'm going to buy their thing. It's like,
Yeah.
if I see something that I resonate with, like, I want that.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm going to sacrifice or trade for that because I want that added onto my life, and I
Exactly.
grow because
Cross-pollinating.
I honor that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Be intentional. You got to be intentional. What do you expect to receive from this to invest in yourself and now pour out and give so that you can reciprocate through actions of faith? And I think that's really important. And I know for me, I've been blessed. I'm going there to listen to it after we're done with our shift training tonight,
Mhm.
which is right after this. But
And
thank you
if
so much,
if you
man.
go to the website and you
Yeah.
listen, this is another thing I want to throw out, because for the next month, I have a plan of just kind of focusing on promoting this music and having different people on for interviews that are on songs with me or that part of making the music, or the Renaissance 100 people who are early early owners of the album, like, get their thoughts. But anybody who listens to the album and anybody who has an experience or encounter, I want to know about it, and I would love to have you on a live to ask you to share what birthed in you or what you encounter, what you experience by
Yes.
engaging the music. I would love throughout the next month to just have people coming on and having testimonies like, man, I listened to this one particular song and it hit me like this, and just allow
Mhm.
Yes.
people to share their experience and encounters, because that's what I really look forward to uh, when the music comes out. Like, what are people going to experience?
Yeah.
Because I don't
Yes.
know my experience through it, but we're all different.
Well, it's important too, because what we judge a tree by its fruit. And so there's going to be fruit by listening to this sound, because you are a sound. You are a frequency. And all you're doing is exchanging the union of that which has been foreran and pioneered for you to step into. It's an invitation. So you want
Yeah.
to be 10 years ahead, get the album now. Just like, you know. But thank you so much,
I love
Daniel.
you
We
guys so
love
much,
you.
man. I
We
thank you for
love
the honor all
you.
the time and respect.
Yes.
And
And we can't wait to see you again when you come to the States. We're getting back on the road. The plan is end of April, early May, we're going to be back on the road, traveling through the nation, ministering all over. I'm coming up with a new word. You know
no
what?
more ministering.
Releasing all over.
There you go.
There's been a whole new change. Our name, there we go again. Our name is changing from Father of Glory Global Ministries to Imagine Life.
Life Imagine.
Or Life Imagine. Sorry, I'm still got to get used to it. We actually were going to do Imagine Life, but it was taken. It was some medical company.
I like Life
So we went.
Imagined.
I like
Yes,
Life
Life
Imagine too.
Imagined, and I had Kendra. She did the new logo for me, and it'll be up soon. It's actually really cool. It's abstract, two faces with a frequency DNA in between as a whisper. In other words, we are the frequency, we are the DNA, we are the field that's simply imagining a life. And when you get that revelation of that's really the purpose of you here, there's no more scorecards, there's no more pass or fail, there's no more missing the mark. There's an adventure of an
Come on.
experience. And
Come
that's
on.
what we're here to do. We're here to play. We're here to exchange, and we're here to express.
Right.
And so I want to encourage everybody, reach out, go to his website, get his album, toss him some funds as well, and have some other friends toss some funds. And, you know, and this is beautiful.
Share this live.
Share this live.
Yes.
We will be out of town this weekend. We're going to Tennessee to go hang out with Roar in Maryland. Maryville. Sorry, I knew it was Mary something. He was talking about all
We're
these
talking
Marys.
about Mary.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Maryville. I'm stuck between California accent and Southern accent right now, so I'm kind of schizophrenic in that. But we're going to be out there for the whole weekend, so we will not be doing our Saturday Heavy Revi TV, but we will be back next Thursday.
Yes.
For that. And for those that are going to be in the shift training class, or those that are in the shift training class, I know some of you might be wanting to join. Once it gets going, we don't add any people because we've already been bonding. So about every 3 to 4 months, we will start up another one and another class, and we'll do that until we feel led not to. And so all those that are in there, we got about 23, 24 coaches being trained right now, and that are going to be taking up this mantle of really bridging the mind from the 3D to the 5D through dealing with memory, so we can come out of the loop of ego-based memory and enter into the place of knowing, into that place of experiential oneness.
Right.
We will be seeing you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the group on the Zoom instead of Friday. Next week, we'll go back to usual. Other than that, I think that's about it, brother. And
yes. And people can, I know some people are still doing mail. So if they want to send you money, can they contact you, private message you to get your address?
Yeah, they can message me just on Facebook on my profile. Either you can look up Danieldavidiam. I have a music page, but my main profile, I'm friends with Brian and Shauna, Daniel David Oskopinski.
Yes.
Just send me a message. And
so if you're doing snail mail, he'll get you going.
Yes. So just private message him and get his address.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
Wonderful.
Thank you guys so much. You guys broke the bubble, so it's official. It's out and about.
It's out. The secret is out. Thank you for letting us be a part of the secret being out. And we love you, and we're with you, and we can't wait to see.
We're gonna see you soon, hopefully.
That's
right.
Yeah,
we're gonna do an event soon. I'm gonna talk to you guys about when you start getting on the move, because I'll be coming to the States pretty close to around then. So we'll probably link up and organize and do something.
Woo!
Wonderful.
Let's do it.
It's gonna be amazing. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Like and share. Love you.
Love
and
you
we'll
guys.
see you soon. Bye-bye for now.